Now, the HSE has heralded the HPV vaccine as a breakthrough for preventing cancer, and the vaccine is made available to all teenage girls from first year on. But for some families, they attribute a sudden onset of mysterious ailments on the vaccine. REGRET, which stands for Reactions and Effects of Gardasil, resulting in extreme trauma, represents over 350 young Irish people who, it says, have developed long-term side effects following vaccination. Karen Smyth from REGRET joins me now. Karen, good morning to you.
Good morning, Fran.
Karen,
Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome indeed.
Thanks.
You claim that the vaccine has left your teenage daughter chronically ill. Could you tell us about your experience?
Absolutely, no problem. I'd just like to say too that there's now over 450 girls in REGRET, and all their symptoms are very similar. My own experience was that my daughter was vaccinated in 2010. She was one of the first to get the vaccinations. At the time, like every other mother, I was very pleased that this vaccine was available, and I signed for it. And on the first day, she got after the first vaccination, she didn't feel very well, and I was called to school to pick her up, and lots of the girls didn't feel very well, and I was told that was normal, so I accepted that because I had no reason to believe anything different. I took her home, and the same thing happened the next time, but I misread the whole situation. I thought it was, I don't know what I thought. I just thought it was the sight of them all, getting needles that she wasn't that she was unwell. But she complained continuously after that, particularly the second one. Everything seemed to go downhill. She started getting recurring sore throats. She was missing school. I was being called regularly to pick her up. Abdominal pain, weakness, feeling faint, that kind of thing. As time went on, these things progressed, became more serious to the point that she was unable to attend school. She was unable to get out of bed. She was bedridden for a year. Sometimes she was unable to feed herself. She's so dizzy and weak, she couldn't lock the bathroom door. Having a shower, anything like that, somebody had to be close by, which is very awkward for any teenage girl. That's, the family side of it. The more serious side of it is that all us parents find ourselves wearing out a path to hospitals, doctors, consultants, and the symptoms continue to come. There's more and more as time goes by. Only yesterday morning, 7 o'clock, my daughter woke up and the pain in her joints was so intense. She had never experienced anything as bad, although she's been suffering severe spinal pain for years and joint pain. But yesterday, the pain in her knees was just something she couldn't even describe.
What age is your daughter now, Karen?
She's now 19, and all her friends have gone to college, and she's still here in chronic pain on the couch day after day. And this was, my daughter was a top honours student, really into her education, loved everything about school.
And I was going to ask you that. Was it a drastic change literally overnight?
No, it creeps in slowly. Well, for some of the children had seizures immediately upon having the vaccine. My daughter didn't. In her case, it crept in more slowly, and I misread the whole situation. I thought it was her age. She was complaining of fainting, abdominal pain. I thought it was menstrual difficulties. And so did her GP initially.
And what is your GP saying now?
My GP won't recommend the vaccine now. And there's 2 other children attending the same GP.
And is your GP admitting that the symptoms that your daughter is experiencing are as a result of the vaccine?
He believes they are.
And is he saying that publicly?
Well, he would. He's not recommending it to his patients when they inquire about it.
Right. How does your daughter's symptoms compare to the other 450 girls? Are the symptoms similar between all the girls?
Yeah. She would be quite typical. Some of them have variations, or some of them have more symptoms, some of them have less. My daughter doesn't have seizures. Many of the other girls do. And these are non-epileptic seizures. And, a child can only bang their head so many times before something happens. It's very serious happens. I mean, these children are just dropping from standing. Sorry, that's my computer talking in the background. A head can only hit the kitchen floor or the counter so many times before something very, very serious happens. Continuously, Regret has requested an independent investigation, and that all parents are given the patient information leaflet as supplied by the manufacturer, which lists all the side effects our children are now suffering from.
Now, I'm sure you're well aware of the World Health Organization's conclusion that they continue to say that it has an excellent safety profile, the Gardasil that you're referring to. They say that there's been a report, and the report found no evidence that the vaccine was linked to chronic fatigue-like conditions. In other words, the conditions that you're describing to us. What do you make of that conclusion by the WHO?
Well, there's still other people disputing that, like the very reputable Cochrane Institute, and they have issued a complaint against the European Medicine Agency, who carried out that review, and say that, they didn't investigate any new data, that they relied on the original data. So, while it may be safe for most people, it's not safe for everybody. Just as penicillin is safe for one person, it's not safe for the next person. And, it's not a one-size-fits-all. And people need to be very aware of that, because right at this moment, I would consider my daughter's life is written off. And the most extraordinary thing is, why is the HSE not investigating this? Why are they saying all these children have chronic fatigue syndrome? They don't have chronic fatigue syndrome. These kids are ending up in A&E with acute recurring pancreatitis. That's a life-threatening complaint or illness. I don't know what you call it. But, why? Don't you think 450 children are chronically ill, unable to attend school, racked in pain, have all sorts of conditions, mainly of older people.
And the common denominator is the vaccine, is what you're saying?
Yes. Well, some of them had seizures within minutes and continue to have seizures to this day, years later.
Now, again, I'm reading from what's in front of me here, and again from the WHO, it's saying very occasionally a person getting the vaccine can have mild headache, feeling a bit tired. And that's really all, I suppose. They're talking about reaction to the needle, a little pain, some redness, swelling or itchiness, where the injection was given. But they're all fairly mild by comparison to anything you're telling me about, Karen.
I agree. And that was the information I was given, and every other parent in this country. And we signed on the basis of that information. Now, that's not informed consent. When the manufacturer has a long list of side effects on their patient information leaflet, we were not told any of those. And they are the symptoms our daughters are suffering from now. And by the way, that headaches and tiredness, these children have been left with chronic headaches, severe headaches that leave you racing to A&E, because there's nothing that you have in your medicine cabinet at home that can deal with these headaches. Right,
so this isn't a common or garden headache. This is more closer to a migraine or something like that, is it?
Well, I personally don't have experience of migraine myself, but people I know that have migraines say you go into a dark room, you just lie down and you don't eat for a few hours and it passes off. These headaches go on and on and on.
Emotionally, Karen, how would you describe? I can hear in your own voice how frustrated and angry you are indeed about it, and rightly so too. But what about where your daughter is concerned? Emotionally, how has it affected her?
She's very strong. She's very hopeful that she will recover. she still has her hopes and dreams. She's 19 years old. She feels she will, you know, somebody will come up with a cure, an answer to this, that she will recover. You know, she wants to go to college. She wants to travel. She wants to do everything that any 19-year-old wants to do. She has a brother in Australia. She'd love to go and spend some time there. At the moment, there's absolutely no way. He works. There's nobody to mind her. Our whole family is turned upside down. Somebody has to be at home with her.
What do you continue to do with your organisation, Regret, then? What happens from here on?
From here on, we are still looking for meaningful help. The HSE say it's chronic fatigue syndrome. There is absolutely no point in treating these children for chronic fatigue syndrome because that's not what's wrong with them. That's brushing them under the carpet. I mean, why? The first place you turn when your child is sick is to, you know, the health authorities. And they are, you know, disregarding us. They are saying in the media, oh yes, they've made a mistake. It's chronic fatigue syndrome. There is no pancreatitis with chronic fatigue syndrome. There is no ovarian failure with chronic fatigue syndrome. They need to seriously investigate this. And I would really question why they are trying to sweep 450 children under the carpet. What have they to gain? Or why? It's very serious. This is a small country, Fran. 450 children is a very significant number, all presenting with the same symptoms.
Two calls on more or less the same thing. A caller suggesting that it might be ME she has. It sounds exactly like that. Another caller saying that it may be seizures that would be caused by panic attacks in ME. I presume that's been put to you before.
You know, it's very dangerous for people at home to be diagnosing what's wrong with somebody else's child that they have never examined. We've been through all this. They don't have ME or chronic fatigue syndrome. Some of us have gone and got treatment thinking that, you know, again, we trusted the medical profession. And the treatments for chronic fatigue syndrome and ME have proved in many cases to be quite dangerous. These children are not able to push themselves. They are not able for graded exercises. They crash straight after. They are really sick. It's beyond chronic fatigue. Some of them are diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. The lists just go on and on. We need an investigation. These children cannot be swept under the carpet and left to spend the rest of their lives. They're teenage girls. 50, 60 years is a very long time to be left disabled, debilitated and in chronic pain.
All right, Karen, thank you indeed for talking to us today, and we'll be following your progress where that is concerned. That is Karen from the organisation REGRET, and the HSE heralding, of course, the HPV vaccine as a breakthrough for preventing cancer, and vaccine is available to all teenage girls from first year on.